there was literally a day that I was knocked out, and the only reason I came to was because I I remember having this thought, well, it's not worth fighting for this. I'm just going to go out now. And I remember the thought came to that I have to wake back up, because if I don't, what's going to happen to my horses and my dog? That's it. That's what my driving force was. And it wasn't long after that I got the vision for Beautiful Outlaws.
Oh my gosh, it's finally happening. We are starting our podcast. Welcome to episode 1, where we are going to interview the one, the only, the beautiful outlaw, Dusty Ann Simmers, who is the co-host on this podcast with me, Whitney Jean Buck. And we're going to hear her story, where she came from, and the life that she has lived to where she is now. And so I'm really excited about this episode. I first heard about Dusty's story this past weekend, actually. Time moves fast. We're not even a week from when we first met, and we were like, oh my gosh, we have to start a podcast. We have to have these hard conversations. We have to have these conversations on life, business, stories, on connection, on where we come from, so that we can seek understanding and connection with the people around us. And I felt this immediate connection with Dusty. And so I'm really excited about this journey. I'm excited to see how it unfolds. And I'm really, really, really excited for people to hear your story, because when I heard it, when you were telling it at the conference we were at, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a powerful story. And I see myself in your story. So I'll let you take it away.
First off, I am so excited. I can't believe it's not even been a week. Like, where has time gone? I feel like we accomplished so much last weekend, and we just dove headfirst, and it's real and it's raw. And I think that's so much about what we are creating, is that real and raw and uncomfortable conversation. So first off, I'm just excited that we're starting this. We're jumping in. We're doing the hard things, and being willing to get uncomfortable with us. And I think it's fun. And I hope that our podcast inspires so many other people to reach out to others that they feel connected with, and make those forms of connection, and whether it's working in multiple different ways, because that's where the magic happens. That's where it is. So I guess to jump right in, like, who is the beautiful outlaw? Who is the beautiful outlaw? By the way, who calls himself that? Somebody who literally was walking in the desert, stealing Wi-Fi from their neighbor just to text somebody to come and get them for the day, in order to get away from the situation they were in. Someone who has literally walked through fire, and when that moment in the desert, and that just like heavy heart, where again, let's just take it back to, I was stealing Wi-Fi from neighbors that I did not know. And it was like this guy opened up, and I seen this reel, and the reel was like, you're going to help people. And like, I could see myself like working with and talking with other people. And I seen myself team roping, which, for everyone who doesn't know yet, like, I'm a big advocate in the equine world. I love rodeo. My son rodeos, I rodeo. I've been competing since 1999. So for a while, and I enjoy it so much. And I watched this reel, and I was like, what is going on? And I'm crying. Tears are just pouring down my face. And I felt like this big hug from the universe. I felt like this big, like, this is where I'm going to go. And I heard Beautiful Outlaws was going to be this business that like helps women achieve authenticity, and like goes after their dreams, no matter how crazy they are, no matter how wild they are. And by the way, I'm sitting here crying again, and I'm like, what's going on? God, I was going to hell since fourth grade. We don't have that close of a relationship. I don't understand why you're like, what's wrong with me right now? But I'm just sitting in there, and I'm like, in this, right? Like, and there's like sagebrush all around me. There might have been snakes somewhere. I don't know. It's the middle of summer. It over the hump from Vegas in Pahrump. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is not good. And I remember feeling like my life was going to be a trial until I was 30. And that's when it was laid on my heart that I'd be the beautiful outlaw. And I was like, this does not make sense. But that vision and knowing that I was a beautiful outlaw has carried me through so much, has got me through so much. So I guess let's go back before the desert, before I got the Beautiful Outlaw calling, before I like stepped into this. And that was this little girl who she's just spicy. Like she's got sass and she loves her animals and she's like a little bit different than everybody. She took her a little my grandma had a do you remember the cassette tapes like back in the day? You remember like the little stereos that have like the two cassette tapes in them and you could put two different tapes in them and play one? I used to carry that down to the field and I would dance and sing for the cows. And like I danced and sung Spice Girls to our cows a lot. A lot. There's there's I don't think I've actually ever publicly like shared that before, but if we're going back, if you want to know my story, like that's kind of where it started. And so it's different, like a little bit out there. And then we lived in Vegas and we moved up here to Alamo and I all I did was talk about the horse that I randomly got. Like I was gifted a horse before first grade and I talked about it all the time, like to the point that the other, not my first grade teacher, though I do wish he would have been my first grade teacher. But the other first grade teacher called me my horse's name, Sugar Bojo. So that was like my nickname through school. And like I just loved it. Like I played with horses out in the middle of the or like out in the corner of the playground. Like this was a thing. But I was different from everybody. I was nice to everybody, but I was different. I attended church. I did all of this. I was daddy's little girl, so we were very close. But then, as time kind of moved on, as we got older, I got into rodeo in fourth grade, and I wasn't going to church as much because, well, sometimes there's rodeos on Sunday, but you're still with your family, right? Like so, like we were taught that you're supposed to be with your family on Sundays, and that long as you're with them, like you're still close to God and you're doing what you need to be doing. And you're with them a lot more than if you go to church, right? Like a lot more. But I didn't understand the differences. I didn't understand the reality of it and what I was being told. So when I would come back to school on Monday, I was told I was going to hell for missing church. And I started to embody these stories. I started hearing these different stories. There were stories at home for my mom and sister that I was, fatter or uglier and I was going nowhere for my sister and my mom were close. And like, I just didn't understand. My little brain did not understand like all of it. So it wasn't like everybody else was bad. And I share that because if you think from fourth grade until you're a senior in high school, you're being told consistently that you're going to hell. When you get a calling from God at the age of 23, you're like, I don't think so. I don't know that that was for me. I don't know how these pieces are going to come together. So, fast forward a little more through like middle school and high school, I still absolutely loved horses. It's who I am. It's what I still do, obviously. But I was different. I was outcast. Brother became he's a son, right? You live on a ranch and you do all the farming stuff. When you have a son, they just kind of become more of a handy person. So my person in my family was my grandma who passed away in fifth grade and then my horses. So like that was my identity really did it was horses. My identity was horses and that's where I felt safe at and felt seen at and felt like I was good at. When I got into high school and everything, I was still the outcast. I had really good friends though. I had the best friends. Like they're still the best of friends. And the one since first grade that I was playing with horses in the field when I was getting ready to go to Boise, I was texting him and he's my biggest cheerleader. So I'm very grateful that I have those relationships, but I didn't understand, right? I didn't understand that difference. So back into being in high school, uh, I was just the outcast. I played sports. They loved when I played basketball because I was good under the basket and I was tall. But that's only when I was like the cool person, right? Like or cool enough to play sports. I was not cool any other time. I attempted to date a few times, but and had a really sweet guy, like a really sweet guy, try to date me, and he was great. But I felt like, how could somebody of religious statute like want to date me? Like I'm gonna drive this poor kid to hell. Like no, we can't do this, right? So these are the stories that I'm telling myself. these are the stories that I've embodied. It's becoming my identity, who I am. I'm unworthy. I'm yuck. So I ended up settling after through high school and out of high school for men who were just yuck. Like, but I thought that's what I deserved, so I stayed. So I stayed. I like we're running through this because that's just the icing. But so the I remember dating these men and being in these situations thinking that's all I would ever deserve. So like when they got hard, those relationships got nasty, like it was my fault. I'm the reason that they were like that. I'm the reason they treated me so bad. I'm the bad person. I have to fix it. Let me say that again. I believed I had to fix their chaos, their abuse, instead of holding a boundary and saying, no, I don't deserve this. And with that, I could let the shame and the guilt just build and it built. And my self esteem got weaker and weaker and destroyed and crumbled to the point that before I got the vision for Beautiful Outlaws, I was one of 12 horse trainers in the entire nation selected for an off the track thoroughbred makeover. A dream come true. That sounds amazing, right? Like that sounds so empowering and so fun and like how exciting. And I had a horse donated to me and this horse was doing so good. And I worked my ass off on this horse. And to the point that for any of you that are listening that may have know anything about horses, even if you don't, so a thoroughbred are these big, tall race horses. They're the ones that you see at the Kentucky Derby. They're big, they're fast, they're athletic. They are not meant to do like sliding stops like the reining horses that you may see. They're not meant to be athletes and do in a different way. They're athletes as far as they run, right? Like they are athletes, they run fast. They are fast for sure. But I had this horse doing things that little reining horses would do. And I could do it blindfolded. Like I blindfolded him. Like we had such a trust. And so I was excited, right? Like I was so joyful because I did this. I created this. I worked so hard on it in a time where my life literally felt like fire. Guys, I was going to bed at night thinking God I was alive, waking up in the morning praying to God I didn't die, praying to God that this wasn't the day I ended up in the hospital. This wasn't the day that there were so many things that went through my head during the day, but I was achieving this. And when I got the vision, it was right before we were supposed to go to Ohio for the competition. And it was going to be like the best day, like the best trip of my life. Like I worked so hard to get here and I was so jazzed. I had the truck, I had the trailer, I did the things, like I overcame so much, but life came crumbling down. Life got worse. The abuse got worse. The fear got worse. I tried to leave multiple times and my family didn't understand. And my family's like, well, just go back and live with your aunt. I didn't want to live with my aunt because there was chaos going there and I didn't want to be around like what was going on in her house, not her, but her household with her ex and just a lot. Like I just needed to get out of the situation I was in. I needed to get my feet on solid ground. I needed to breathe. And my life's crumbling. Like I'm about to lose the truck. I'm probably going to walk away from the house. Like everything is in shambles. And I'm trying to hold on. I'm grasping for dear life. I'm holding on. Like I've fought to live to this point. Like there was literally a day that I was knocked out and the only reason I came to was because I remember having this thought, well, it's not worth fighting for this. I'm just going to go out now. And I remember the thought came to that I have to wake back up because if I don't, what's going to happen to my horses and my dog? That's it. That's what my driving force was. And it wasn't long after that I got the vision for Beautiful Outlaws. It wasn't that much longer because he had my truck and he had the phone with the minutes on it and I didn't have anything. So I walked and stole Wi-Fi from the neighbor just so I could get out of the house for the day. And feeling that vision fueled me into the next portion of my life, the next few years, the I would say probably the harder time of my life. That sounds pretty hard, what it was, but the journey went on. And I remember I moved back home and life wasn't the way I thought it was going to be, right? Like it wasn't going to be all rainbow and sunshine. But I was like, this was in August of 13. And on December 24th of 13, I sold my horses, except for one. I leased her out to somebody. So I sold them on Christmas Eve to buy a plane ticket to move to Kansas with my aunt that I did not know, my mom's oldest sister that I did not know. Um, so that I could start over because I was like, I have to start over. I can't heal in this chaos. On December 27th of 2013, I flew across the country to move in with an aunt that I did not know, only to be ending up living with my cousin and her daughter, who were awesome. Like they were great, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, right? And I didn't know that until literally the night, like we got back to Kansas from, like, I didn't figure this out until like after we crossed the border from Oklahoma. So like there was a lot of just like what's going on. I ended up bouncing around Kansas a little bit, did different things there. It wasn't everything I thought it was going to be. So in August of 14, I moved to Oklahoma. I was helping with barrel horses, and then I ended up, and I was roping on the side. So I got an opportunity to go rope, go ride ranch horses, go ride on ranch and ride team roping horses. And I was like, sold, I'm done. I love it. Let's go. And I thought it was going to be all this. And unfortunately, I was sold a different story than what it was. And that story helped me a lot in a lot of ways. There was a lot of growth in there. There was a lot of journey. There's a lot of heavy. When I arrived there, I did wear a lot of makeup. Like I tried to get attention. Like I was like, I would put on a lot of makeup to make me feel better about myself, even though I did not look better with all that makeup on. But I like that you can't see the real me. So it was a mask, but also like trying to be pretty and hot or whatever. It was a bad combo. And I got to where I wasn't wearing makeup like I was. I was wearing like mascara and I felt good in just mascara. I was roping better than I ever had. I was doing things. I helped, with building the barn. I helped do all these different things and I was like, yeah, I feel better. But life was up and down. There was a lot of highs and a lot of lows. I found myself, I got into drugs. I got into just like trying to keep myself going because I felt like if I did not make this span go, if I did not fix the chaos, the abuse, the lies, if I didn't figure out a way to make the best out of all this, and I was to go back home to Nevada from Oklahoma, then I was a failure. It's my fault. Like, you failed again. You did all this again. And so I kept fighting. And to the point to where I was training horses better than I ever had. I was competing better than I ever had. But I had begun to figure out how I was going to exit this world, how I was going to be done, how I was going to find a way out that everyone would understand or would uh, accept, per se. And when I got to that point, I also didn't know I was pregnant. I had no idea that I was also fighting emotional stuff going on, and I was fighting hormones. So for anyone who's been pregnant who's listening, like, the hormones, like, they're going to take you up and down. And so I'm in this battle of like, oh my gosh, what, why am I acting like this? Why am I being bitchy all of a sudden? Like, what is going on? I'm trying not to. Why am I crying? Why am I doing like, and I just felt like more and more like I'm at my end. Like I'm at that end of my rope. Cause I didn't realize there was other factors into this. I remember on November 10th of 2017, I was in my room at night and it's late at night and it's like, it's heavy. It's heavy. It's my birthday and I'm alone. I have nobody. And I'm 28 years old and I am celebrating my birthday alone. Like I'm being lied to. My life doesn't look like anything like it was supposed to. I've been dealing with more abuse again. Like, how did I let myself get in this situation? The situation is not ideal any way around. I'm controlled in multiple ways. I can't see a way out. It's just heavy. And I remember sitting there and I was crying and screaming. And I told God that you have two choices because there's three. I gave him three options, but the one was only he had two options and I had the other one because you know, we get to those points in our life where we think we're more powerful. Turns out we're not, right? Like we're not. So I told God, you either give me my own person for the holidays or take me out yourself, or I'll do it for you. And on November 20th, uh, 2017, 10 days later, at the exact same time in the morning that I was born, I gave birth to a beautiful, well, handsome little man who's doing well, who's thriving. But I know I was pregnant. So when I was in labor, after training mules all day, yes, you heard that right. I was training mules all day before, and I thought the mule pulled my back out from everything we were fighting with him with. It was a mess. And turns out I was not having muscle spasms. I did not pull my back out. None of that. I was in labor. Fun fact for anybody who's listening, mustard does not cure uh, labor cramps as it would muscle cramps if you're like dehydrated. Just so if you ever wanted to know that, it does not actually work because I thought I was dehydrated and muscle cramps. And so I drink mustard. And fun fact, I also do not like mustard. Mustard is not for me.
I've literally never even heard that mustard thing. So when you first told me that story, I was like, what? You drink mustard?
So just, I want you guys to imagine this. Like I'm sitting at the fridge. I don't like mustard. I know this is going to taste disgusting. Okay. This is not a spoon.
Building
I tried
yourself
this.
up. I need to drink this.
I have to. And I want you all just to imagine like mustard container and me in front of the fridge just like squirting it, mouths wide open, squirting because I'm in so much pain. And I'm starting to get scared at this point because I'm like, why that? And it does cross my mind that something's not right because my pain tolerance is very high. Like I have a very, very high pain tolerance, obviously. Only for me to be having these like spurts of pain, like every like, in gaps. And then my pain tolerance, jumps up to like a 7 or 8 for me, which is a lot for me. Might have been higher because I started to freak out. Like I'm really starting to freak out that something's wrong. And I wanted to go to the hospital. Like if it doesn't change by morning, I want to go to the hospital. By the way, I had him at 2:08 in the morning. So I mean, by the morning I did go to the hospital. But he was born, this little boy. RK is literally a miracle baby because he split. I don't know how he stayed alive because I rode bucking horses and I trained horses they shouldn't have been riding. And I did get bucked off while I was pregnant. Like there's a lot that goes on. And this kid is like thriving, right? Like he's doing so well. I'm so proud of him and grateful for him every day. But he split my birthday. So I'm the 10th. His is the 20th. His dad's is the 30th. And he was born at 2:08 in the morning, the same time in the morning as me. And if you don't think that's godly enough, just know that I said I wanted a person for the holidays. He was born the Monday before Thanksgiving. And so it's all that. Like, it's all that. And that helped this journey, this stepped in. But the people in the NICU, they were like, these people were amazing. They helped me be a mom. They helped me dive into all this. And it was so beautiful, right? Gain confidence, or I gained to stand on my ground. As we said, I didn't have confidence. I'm starting to learn to stay on it, but I wasn't standing very firm yet. So a year later, God blessed me with another little baby and a lot more chaos, but that's total different story. But this little man, I found out I was pregnant with him, and he was supposed to be miscarriage up to 27 weeks. And that's pretty scary when you're high risk, right? Like that's you have a newborn. He's not even a year old yet, and now you're pregnant, and they're full siblings, and they're getting 2 different treatments from their dad, and it's 2 different environments. I'm out of the abusive situation, but I'm having to figure out how to do this on my own, and there's just chaos, right? And this little boy, I went into labor with him at 26 and 5, and that's when I had him. He was born at 2 pounds and 2 ounces, and he was a fighter. He was born on November 13th, and in that 3 months that he was alive, 13 weeks, I learned so much about myself. I learned strength. I learned how much I valued strangers. I value strangers who make an impact in my life, and how much some person's little bit of kindness can transform my life and have such an impact. And it opened my eyes up to seeing that, mind you, through each one of these scenarios, through each one of this stuff, even on my darkest of days, even on the days when I walked out of the house and I wanted to quit. I was done. I like literally wanted to sell my horses and change my name. Like I was gonna go off the radar. Like I looked into it. I was like, I'm done. Like with everybody in my life, like I'm just a burden to that point. And I remember looking at my horse and having that like hard like heel seen into my soul. By the way, he is still one of our therapy horses, so that's pretty cool. Like I still have him. He's here with me, been through all that, and he's great. But yeah, I was like, oh, that beautiful outlaws vision. Oh my gosh. Like some days I was mad at it. Like so mad at that vision that God gave me because it was like I have to keep fighting. Like I have to keep finding a way to fight through all of this because of that vision, right? And when my son was in the hospital and he was fighting for his life, and I had a little son at home, and I had to figure out balance and I had to figure out how to fight. It was that vision that kept me going. It was that vision. I remember when he's on the PICU and we're doing everything we can to swing for the fences, and it's the last fences we're swinging for. And that vision and remembering over and over again that I am the beautiful outlaw. This is all going to make sense after I'm 30. And I was 29 at the time. I was like, okay, keep going. We're almost there. We're almost to the finish line. On February 13th, 2008, my little man went home, and what should have been probably, and I mean, it is one of the most heartbreaking times of my life, but it was the most empowering time of my life. That moment, my little son, my little man got his wings. I was given mine too. I remember it like clear as day. I remember feeling it and just knowing. And there was so much more in that story, in that time that he was in the NICU and PICU that helped set me up for that. It wasn't like I have to lean into this. There was little things that set me up that was his purpose. His journey was simply to help me gain confidence in myself, to help me find the inner belief, to be able to step in and step through. How amazing is that? And so when he got his wings, I got mine. And I knew I had to do something more. I knew I had to heal. I knew I had to grow. And even though that story didn't get any better or easier per se for a minute, I found fight. I found grit. I found something to hang on to. And I sure as hell was not going to put my oldest in the situations they've already been in. And so I found coaches. I found healers. I dove right in. I thought having multiple coaches for different areas of my life was what I needed because, as I mentioned before, I was going to hell, right? Like, it's going to hell. So I needed a spiritual coach because I got to figure out how to connect these damn dots. Like, excuse me, how do you go from going to hell to having a vision to God to losing a child and still need to be in connection with Him, but you don't know how any of it wraps up, right? Like, holy, that's a lot to swallow and make sense of. So there was a coach for spirituality because I needed help. There was, I had a coach that just was helping me to like, basically they were a life coach and it was all stars and they were just like helping me like step into like me and seeing things differently. I had a therapist that was helping me with some heavy stuff that had to work through me because if there's a problem with me, I went into that office multiple times and I was like, I laid it out on her. Like I told her the things that I wasn't going to tell anybody about me, and I tried to make myself look really bad. I tried to make myself look like I had problems. Like I was like, let's figure this out. Let's either work through it or get me on what I need or whatever I got to do to like so I can be there for my oldest. Let's do it. And that was super healing. And then I had another therapist that was helping me with the loss of a son because she'd been through it too. So it just kind of was bringing it all together. And through that, I realized this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to help other people. And before I knew it, I was learning that grief was not a one size fits all because I feel like that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother conversation. But in America, we think grief is black and it's heavy and it's a one size fits all and you got to be healed in 3 days. And why is it still bugging you after a couple of years? And why are you not over it? And that's not how grief works. And that's not how healing works. And I just kept diving in deeper and deeper there. But what I didn't realize is that that little 2 pound, 2 ounce little baby boy that showed up, his journey was to help me heal, but learn new techniques. And through this journey, I got to help some amazing women look at grief differently and connect with their loved ones and dive so much deeper into healing and make grief fun. But as we learned the other day, I like to make grief sexy because that's a thing. So yes, I'm also the beautiful outlaw because I say things like grief is sexy and grief is fun, which is, not 100% normal to say, but it's normal for me. So that's normal enough. And what I learned is that we all have to grieve ourselves. We have to grieve the old versions of us, the stories that were not ours, the stories that were ours, the versions of us that helped keep us alive but no longer serve us, right? Like there's so much there. And we have to learn those things. And so my journey came full circle from the girl going to hell that didn't believe in herself to now I'm the woman that uses the heartbreak of a little boy leaving and being a single mom and those narratives, those yucky, if you're a single mom, you're not going to succeed. If you were abused, it's your fault. All those nasty narratives that are flying around everywhere. I lived them. And now I get to help you see past them and see through them and help you go on. And it's fun. And so the girl that was going to hell that had no self esteem is now the girl that is doing God's work, the universe's work. And I help you find the authentic version of yourself. And sometimes that means smashing a pumpkin with like your old stories on it, or smashing a pot and doing fun releases where you get anger out, where you get to do things out of the box. And we get to rock your boat and do things differently. We don't do things the normal way because I learned for me, doing things the normal way just wasn't going to work. And I guess that's where the outlaw version comes in. And that I enjoy people from all walks of life because what I did not mention is that when Cutter was fighting for his life, I had people of all religions, all beliefs, all different ethnicities. It did not matter. Everybody came together and they were praying for my little boy. And I found love for everybody. And now I coach people from all different areas of life. And how fun is that to say that I went from this and now I'm this? And if I can do it, every single one of you on this call can do it. And every single one of us that walk this earth gets that opportunity. Now I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. And now I get to say I have a podcast. Like that's pretty cool, right? And soon I'll be speaking at a big O stadium too, right? Like so if you're listening to this and you get the highlight reels of my story, I hope you know that whatever your story is, whatever it was, you're the creator of your life and you get to embrace your own beautiful outlaw. You get to color outside the lines. You get to do things in whatever way makes sense to you. And guess what? That's okay. So that's me in a nutshell.
Beautiful. Ah, the beautiful outlaw. Thank you for sharing your story. That was so touching, and to actually see all of the pieces that have brought you here, I just have a deeper love and appreciation for you. The story of walking through the desert and stealing people's Wi-Fi and knowing that, like, while everything literally in the physical and symbolism was like it's a desert, my life feels so malnourished. I feel so dehydrated. In every area of my life, I feel like my life is a desert, to this beautiful life that is full and filled with love and just nourish. That is so touching because I know there are so many people out there that can relate to that feeling like they're in the season of a desert and they need your light. They need your story of it does get better. There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
So much more than you know. I always think about, the Moana movie. Have you watched it? One of my favorites because I love how Tafiti is like a volcano and fire and just like raging, everything going on, and then like beautiful turns into like this beautiful island that just flourishes. And that I see that a lot because it's the two, and we get that. We get to have that in this lifetime. We get to go through the desert, the malnutrition, or the fiery hell, and then you still get to have nourishing, beautiful life, because it turns out that in ashes is growth. It's fertilizer. You burn around away the old, the yuck, and it's fertilizer for the new. And I hope I get to touch more people that learn that so they can touch more people, because there's some powerhouses out there who are hiding because they are in the fire or they're in the desert season.